Before I show you guys this article, I just want to ask you guys a simple question to set the tone. If I was happily married and had children, and then I met another woman who I considered, she is my perfect woman, and I abandoned my family, I left my wife, abandoned my kids to run away with my mistress, and it didn't work out. And then I came back crying. Oh, she was just using me. She manipulated me. Oh, woe is me. Would you guys feel sorry for me? How would you guys react if I did something like that? If I had a happy family that I just threw away to be with someone else and it didn't work out and then tried to cry and play the victim, you probably wouldn't feel sorry for me, would you? Now, next question. What if I was a woman and the same story happened? I left my family for my dream man and ignored huge red flags. It almost Minecrafted me. Here's how to spot a narcissist before you make the same mistake. So let me guess. Step 1, look in the fucking mirror. You'll spot your narcissist. Emily, with the star, name was probably changed, was married with kids when she met Angus, also probably name changed. But she was certain she had just met the one. She had never been so smitten. Within months, she had broken up her family to pursue a relationship with a tall, handsome stranger who gave her intense butterflies. But he's the bad guy. Just as I'm reading this article, let's not forget, none of this is her fault. She's a good girl. She didn't do nothing. This is all that evil man that led her astray. He made her sacrifice her family. And it almost Minecrafted her. Speaking to female, the mom revealed how she got stuck in an evil narcissist's web and was used, abused, and financially drained, and the signs she missed or ignored that landed her here. I had only ever dated good men. I didn't realize how evil they could be, she said. You want to talk about good men when let's just take her at face value. She only dates good men. Her ex-husband, by that logic, was a good man. Her kids were probably good kids. You're not a very good woman if you would do what you did to that man and those kids. You think you deserve a good man when you're not a good woman? Again, if you want to spot a narcissist, just look in the mirror. You and this Angus guy were made for each other, it sounds like. Now, Angus made me feel alive. I was addicted to the roller coaster and the sex. It makes sense that she was cheating before the breakup, right? I had never felt like that with anyone and thought that meant it was true love, but I was wrong. It was anything but. Poor woman. She destroyed her family. She destroyed her husband's life. She destroyed her kids' lives, but she's the real victim here. Feel sorry for her. Now she has chosen to share her story to help others from making the same mistake. In the end, I thought he would Minecraft me, she said. That is, if the stress caused by the relationship didn't. Step 1, if you have a happy family, don't ruin it. Oh my God, I just solved the whole mystery. I solved everything, the whole problem. There's no way a Whammons would write an article like that. I was always on eggshells. I lost my appetite and a lot of weight. People kept asking me if I was sick because I had become so thin. Then I fainted in front of my kids and I knew I had let things go too far. So you know what it's like to be a man in a lot of relationships now? All right. Shortly after the fainting episode, Angus has ruined another evening screaming at Emily in the middle of a popular restaurant. Well, if you listened to him the first time, he wouldn't have had to do that, you know. He asked me if I had a good night. I said no, actually, and he smiled and said, that feels good. I kicked him out of my bed there and then and told him not to come back. Something tells me this guy is going to have no problems finding another Whammons, whereas she, on the other hand, like she's damaged goods forever. The relationship went on for years. There were engagements, breakups, and dramatic reunions. The way he twisted my brain to make me feel like I wasn't good enough, that I was nothing without him, that I would be nobody if I left, made me keep coming back. Just remember, this is a woman who left a good man, who left her kids to be with a guy like this. We would end it. He would smear my name, and then I would crawl back and apologize like some helpless child. He reduced me to scared, confused, abused child I had once been because I'd shared the dark parts of my past with him, she said. And that's also why men generally don't reveal too much to their whammons nowadays, too. The last time they got back together, Angus moved in with Emily, but he refused to pay rent or help with the bills. Why would he? He also made Emily quit her job as there were too many young, good-looking men out there. Yeah. Now, look, look at how he got her. He got her when she was cheating on her ex-husband with him. He knows damn well she's going to cheat again. I understand why he behaves the way he does. I really do. Now, he told me that I could work for him instead, but that he would fire me every second day and act like I should be grateful for the opportunity. He would tell people I didn't really work for him. He just had me on the books to give me a salary because I had nothing else. For Emily's narcissist image was everything. Again, just check the mirror too. I'm not saying that the stuff that's happening to this woman isn't bad. It's not like she's a good person. This is two horrible people doing bad things to each other. I'm a good-looking, financially secure Wayman's the perfect accessory for a man like him, she said. Doesn't sound like it, not anymore anyway. She hasn't spoken to the narcissist for a long time and insists she will never be lured back into his bed. She is finally ready to tell her story. 5 minutes later, I think we know what's going to happen. I'm sure she said this before. It's long and harrowing, but the message is important. If you see the following red flags, she wants you to run and never look back. Once again, imagine if this was reversed, because the first red flag, too many female friends. If a guy comes out and says that it's a huge red flag if a woman has too many male friends, he gets shamed by it or for it by both the left and the right. They shame the hell out of a guy. Like if a guy, because guys do say that. Like guys will tell you that, yeah, if your woman hangs out with too many men, that is indeed a red flag, and they get shamed for it. But it's fine when women say it, though. It's okay. Emily said Angus always had women hanging around when she would bring up that he would double down on his rights to be with friends with whoever he wants. Yeah. Now you know what it feels like to be a man, don't you? Because so many men have that story. Honey, I really am not too comfortable about you hanging out with Chad and Tyrone late into the night. You don't own me. I'll be friends with whoever I want. Now, we would go to a party or dinner to see a show, and he would bring a friend every time, always a young woman. He would introduce me to them as his partner or fiance, but he would then ditch me for them all night. Wow, the fact that she stuck with him after all that. Another time she caught her partner heading to an ex's house at 2 a.m. Now, I did his accounts at work and noticed he had gone to his ex's place after an event. She was one of those women who was always having around. He said she was just a friend, but I don't think you go to a friend's place at 2 a.m. I've gone to friends' places overnight plenty of times, but I know what you meant. I know what you meant. I bet in the near future, she's going to be one of these friends for another woman. He was supposed to come away with me, but decided not to. Then I asked him about it. He said he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. Wow. Well, again, welcome to the life of a man. If the genders were reversed and this was a man telling this story, he'd be told to, well, yeah, you don't own her. She could do what she wants. Why are you so controlling? They really don't like it when men learn the game too. So the couple went to counseling to try to move past the issue. Oh, I bet he wasn't happy about wasting that money. To him, he was only to him, she was only ever a booty call. Man, he must have been pissed wasting that money. He didn't want to talk to men except my ex about our kids, and would call me a whore and a slut if I ever said hello to one in passing. Well, you got to look at it from his perspective, though. How he got you was you cheated on your ex-husband with him. He knows you're going to cheat on him too. But he had women around him all the time, holding onto his arm, hanging around, and he had told me that he had dated or slept with most of them, but decided they were just friends. Yeah, he was definitely sleeping with them. Double standard? Yeah. It's usually the other way around. Again, just two horrible people doing horrible things to each other. Now, I will never allow anyone I am seeing to have friendships with women they've been with again, unless it's a cordial ex they share kids with. You will never allow it. Okay. I wonder how she'd react when the guy has the same response. Like, yeah, I'm not going to let you be friends with those men either. Oh my God, that's a red flag. You're controlling me. You're a narcissist. She said when they broke up shortly into the relationship, her ex immediately ended up in bed with one of these quote unquote friends. Yeah. And this is a common thing that women do. We all know about. Like they keep their orbiters around so that they could always go seek one out for comfort when needed. But when a man does it, it's a problem, right? I should have ended it then and there, but I was hooked. Yeah, that's a common story if the genders are reversed. So many guys trapped in relationships just like this, but they're addicted to that pussy. Now, Angus also didn't have any male friends, something Emily now sees as an issue. If he only has women friends and no male friends, then run. There's something wrong with that. Use the same logic back at them. If you only ever see them hanging out with men but never another woman, that's a big red flag, isn't it? So being quick to judge. I'm a broken record, so I'm not even going to bother saying it. You guys can figure it out. You know what I'm going to say. I'll spare you. Angus would complain about everyone the moment they left the room. He would tell Emily her friends were stupid or untrustworthy or dull. It is very hard not being a broken record right now. I swear to God. You have no idea how hard it is. I'm struggling. And he would complain about her to anyone who would listen. Oh my God, it's too hard. Let's just say projection. Let's just say that. I don't want to be repeating myself all night. This article will be 20 times as long as it needs to be. He would tell them I was awful and he couldn't do it anymore. He would tell me off for doing something he deemed wrong, then tell everyone about it. Where have I heard that one before? Are you sure this Angus guy isn't a lesbian that you were in a relationship with? Because if I found out tomorrow that this was a story about a lesbian couple, I'd believe it. And it wasn't just his friends or mutual acquaintances. He would corner my friends at parties or when I went to the bathroom at dinner and pass on his judgments. This is all brand new, man. I've never seen or heard of any of this before, man. Never. It doesn't talk to ex or kids, but complains about them. I was married to a wonderful man. I didn't love him like I wanted to love someone. Our relationship ran its course long before we got divorced and I met Angus. But he was a wonderful, kind, generous man. And even though I didn't do everything right, he never talked behind my back or smeared my name. Okay. So I thought for a second maybe I got the wrong idea that they were divorced before she met the new guy. But no, they said before we got divorced when I met Angus. Okay, so she was already bored with the guy. She was already in the I'm not happy mode. And then she met another guy that she liked more and she monkey branched and it turned out to be a rotten branch that broke right away. Oops. Yep, she's still the villain. In his mind, men don't do that about women that they have been in relationships with, especially if they have children together. That's the guy you walked away from to get with the guy you're complaining about. Let's just remind everyone of that. But Angus was different. I feel guilty for believing his stories about his crazy ex-wife who abused him and held him back for years, she said. Now, if you had any self-awareness, you would know everyone listening to your story right now is having the same thoughts about you. I don't even know if half of what she says about this guy is true. And I felt bad for him when he said he had to leave with nothing and she poisoned their children's minds. If a man doesn't have an amicable relationship with his ex-wife, especially kids, then you need to consider running. Oh, God, this probably just triggered every single red-pilled guy in the world right now. A woman does what she did. I wonder what her relationship with her ex-husband is now. I mean, maybe he keeps it cordial just because they have kids together, but I'm quite sure he's not a fan of her anymore. So if a woman screws you over and does to you what she did to her husband, and that ruins your relationship together, you're the red flag now? Okay. Especially if he takes every opportunity to tear them down and you haven't seen any of their so-called lazy behavior for yourself. First off, people are always on their best behavior around others, so you're probably not going to see that behavior. And second off, I do kind of agree. If you're with somebody and all they ever talk about is their ex, whether it's in a positive or a negative light, that alone is a red flag. If they cannot let their previous relationship go, they're clearly not invested in the new one with you. They're still living in the old one. I would say leave that relationship at least until they calm down and are actually able to move on, because you don't want to be dragged into that. Nothing good ever comes of it. But what do I know? So not financially secure, but pretends he is. That applies to women too, you know. Not childless, but pretends she is. Not beautiful, but pretends she is with all that makeup. Not tall, but pretends she is with them heels. Not debt free, but pretends she is, just hiding those student loans. Now, Angus was all show. I paid for everything in that relationship except dinners out, which he insisted on paying for in a loud voice so everyone could hear. He would joke about how expensive I was, that I was wearing another new dress, that he had been on a luxury trip. We've been on a luxury trip overseas again. Yeah, this is a guy that was just showing off to the people, to the other people around. That's definitely true. I paid for all these things. It made me feel infuriated and embarrassed when he acted like he had. Well, your money is our money, remember? Again, if the genders were reversed and the man made all the money and she spent his money, acted like it was hers. But that never happens. Yeah, that's just conjecture. That never happened. Emily said Angus seemed to be intent on burning through her divorce settlement. Now, he knew I had money, and when it came through, he acted like he was cashed up, but then told me that he could help with rent and bills next week. She claims that she spent more than $180,000 on him over the course of their relationship. What a sucker! And that was that $180,000 was probably her ex-husband's money, because she did mention earlier that she quit her job. Where did her cash flow come from? Where did her money come from? Right, her ex-husband was paying for all of this. I'm sure he was happy about that. If a man acts big, acts rich, but has to live small and to do it, then you should run. It's a scam, she said. This goes both ways. Remember that. I don't mind being with someone modest. I don't judge that. But if they claim to be a money man and live in a crappy rental in a bad part of town, well, I would just check to make sure the man's life matched with his advertisements next time. And guys, do the same thing with women. Private investigators have access to a lot of that info that your average citizen doesn't. So use them. And when you feel your social circle shrinking. So if you're a guy and your woman keeps, ruining all your friendships, oh, you can't hang out with that guy anymore. It is a red flag, yes. Emily said over the years, her world became tiny. At first, I loved he wanted to go out. My husband was a homebody, so to have a person who loved events as much as I did was really fun. But the invites began to dry up, and Emily was even afraid to go out for dinner. It got to a point where I was embarrassed to head to a nice restaurant because we had made a scene in every one. Oh, I think that was intentional. Oh, he did that on purpose. He would sit there bragging about paying for everything, making digs at me and my intelligence, saying things that to upset me and focusing on every woman but me. I knew he was trying to bait me, but in the end, I was so reactive that I took it and would snap. I would hear him say, "There she goes again. She's crazy to the people we were. Oh, she's crazy to the people we were with. Oh, the fact that your friends didn't even question that alone should be a flag of a different type, you know." Many of them warned me about him and said they couldn't be around me if he was, she said. My own sister, who ended up being stabbed by a toxic narcissist, told me it was all too familiar and triggering, that she couldn't be part of my life. By the end of the relationship, Emily was down to her last friend. Who was it? Who was still there? And that's only because she saw what he was and promised to never leave me, no matter how hard it got. And he tried his best to get rid of her, she said. At least she had one real friend. She also had her ex and her kids. I'm sure he's happy about that. It's like, God damn it, this bitch is still draining my bank account, feeding it to her pimp. Now, they were really supportive. If it wasn't for my ex, I don't think I would have survived. He helped me hang on for our kids. It probably was for the kids. It was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not invested anymore. But if you went and did what you're thinking of doing, that would probably not really have a good effect on our chillins. So get your shit together. Self-absorbed. Oh my God. I want to say something, but you've heard it like 3 times before. Angus only thought about himself, says the woman who abandoned a husband and children to, go for a fling that gave her butterflies in her stomach. Sure, he only thought about himself. One of his birthdays happened to be happened in lockdown, and he was furious. I couldn't organize anything and described gifts not as enough and afterthoughts. She said on her birthday he delayed plans to be with her and slept with another woman out of spite. He knew you were going to stay, and you did. He was always concerned about how he looked, how I looked next to him, how what I said and did made him look, and will point out when it was anything less than exceptional. Hey guys, does this sound familiar to any of you? I'm sure it is. You have male friends that do this all the time, right? You've never been in a relationship with someone like this, because otherwise you'd be gay, right? This continued after they broke up. Why'd you continue? He texted me asking me to deliver the gifts I had bought for him while we were together. If the light wasn't shining on, Angus he was furious. He had to be the center of everything. Yeah, projection. That's all I need to say. He made everyone treat his birthday like the most important day of the year. Everything had to be perfect. Sounds like he's a bridezilla or something, huh? Abusive? I wonder. This entire story is pretty much designed to show her in the best light possible relative to him. But knowing what she did, I kind of got to question that. She's probably leaving out a lot. She's making it sound like she's the poor innocent victim that didn't do nothing when we know the kind of person she is. Emily said she was screamed at daily. He would smash things around the house and in the end became physically abusive. I'm sure Johnny Depp felt the same way. I felt constantly paralyzed, afraid to do the wrong thing. And that's what he wanted, me to be paralyzed so he could have all the control. He wanted to maintain control at all times. Before we headed out, he would growl at me not to drink too much. He would then constantly top up my drinks or tease me in front of our friends when I said I needed to slow down before getting more drinks. Then when I would get drunk, he would berate me in front of them. Once a friend stepped in and said, you were pouring them, he flipped. He screamed at me on the way home for being a drunk mess and making him look stupid for having a trashy woman. Oh, man. Yeah, they are perfect for each other, aren't they? Emily became afraid to make a sound uninvited. I couldn't even talk in my own house. He was staying with me, and every time I would try to chat, he would turn the television on and tell me to shut up. He was busy. He knows all she's good for. She started working out in case she had to fight back. Yeah, that wouldn't work. If you're already going that far, you should just leave. Or tell him to get out, I guess. Call the cops if you need to. But that is not a fight you're going to win. I thought this guy's going to Minecraft me. I need to be strong enough to have a chance. Every time he punched me, I would work harder. She said that something would click and he would become a rage monster. It was like the devil himself. I would beg him to stop, but he'd keep going, then say he couldn't remember later. Oh, he must have just been on his period, right? It happens. You need to be understanding. Scheduled breakups. Ooh. Probably because he has to get with his other girlfriends. And we began seeing a pattern with the breakups. And we would have a huge fight and break up after a few days. And when we got back together, he would tell me he booked a holiday with a female friend when we had broken up and that it was my fault for disappointing him and that I couldn't stop him from going. If I tried, he would end it for good. Yeah, he really knows how to keep him under control. Emily said her ex-husbands told her not to leave him for Angus. Yeah, everyone in her life warned her, but she was just such a good person. He had heard things about him and tried to warn me off, but I never felt this way before and thought it was what love was meant to feel like. In actual fact, I believe it was my body telling me to get away. So much we can dig into here. This would apply for so many relationships. And yet, how much you want to bet she didn't learn? And her kind-hearted ex wasn't the only one. My brother said Angus made the hair stick on the back of his neck. Emily eventually said the sexual chemistry with Angus was off the charts. We had really great sex. It became a huge thing for me. I wanted it all the time. We would have sex after every fight. See, isn't this exactly what we've been saying? That all the behaviors that they claim they don't like, turn them on. And all the stuff they claim they like and claim they want, they get bored with and leave you for a guy like this. This woman is the poster child for exactly the type of women we talk about. She left the good man that treated her right to be with the guy that abused her and admitted it turned her on. Yeah, Whammon's moment right here. And then they wonder why we don't take them seriously. At least they're being open about it now, because I've been talking about this for over a decade, and generally all I get is denial when I bring it up. Now they're admitting it. I'd say we were done for good, and then he would convince me that we should catch up, and I would see him. He was my kryptonite. I would end up being back in the relationship and all in. But every time I went back, he lost more respect and was crueler and crueler. Well, no shit, because every time you went back, he knew what a pushover you were. Like, okay, I could ease up on the act a little bit. I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need to put in as much effort because I know she's going to stay anyway. Who cares? And by the end, he was living in my house, but telling me I had stuffed up any chance of us being serious of a future. And I was just like, I was just there to fuck him until the one came around. Isn't that how you treated your ex-husband? Why are you so mad now? It was like I was addicted to the roller coaster. I thought I was in love, but I wasn't. No, you were. It was just a very, very abusive one. But yeah, you were addicted to it. You're right. I'm glad more women are admitting this now. And for everyone else, I'll wait for my apology. You know, I guess it didn't matter that I've been talking about this for years, but when a Wayman's finally admits it, oh yeah, stunning and brave. Feels good to be vindicated, though, I gotta say. So yeah, horrible people doing horrible things to each other. That's this article right here. Because I'd be willing to bet money that she left out a lot of details. Even when she was saying red flags about, you know, how guys that talk like this about their exes, and she questions it now. Well, it's the same for me. I wonder what the real story was. That's something I'd like to hear.